Hello trader, welcome to another weekly Forex forecast. Past week we have seen that suddenly at the end of the week, gold rallied a lot after a very long consolidation. And at the end of the session, we have seen there was a drop finally. And what I think that this week we might see that trend continuation. We will be doing in-depth analysis from swing trading as well as our day trading perspective. If we look at DXY, we can see that past week was a bit of low volatility, and that might fuel this week. After this inside bar, we might see a rejection, and JPY was in a very strong uptrend that we saw that with the weekly open, the price even didn't do any pullback. It was in a nice trend. And also we will be looking at GBPJPY and dollar yen to see where we can look for trading opportunity in this week. Along with this, some other pairs that we will be looking at one by one from the multi-time frame perspective. Now, if we look at the calendar this week, just Monday coming up, and ZD inflation expectations, and also GBP also coming up, PPI on dollar, and Powell will speak on Tuesday in my zone in the NY session. In your zone could be on Wednesday, and also followed by CPI. Now CPI gonna be very important this week, especially on Wednesday. But I think that the market might have a very good move. Quite a few high impact news might give a bit of a stronger volatility in the market, and then we might see the weekend on Thursday employment change, unemployment rate, as well as unemployment claims that also might have a very good impact on dollar index, gold, as well as on euro dollar and GBPUSD. So with that in mind, let's look at one by one to see where we can expect this week's weekly movement. Now before I begin this weekly Forex forecast, traders, make sure that you give a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't done yet. Press that bell notification so that you are not missing any of the content that I am posting every day. So with that said, let's begin this week's weekly Forex forecast. Okay, data. So let's begin first of all with DXY. As with the DXY, we'll be able to understand the movement of most of the USD pairs. So I will be starting with the monthly chart to see overall direction in the market. So from the monthly, if we look at the overall monthly movement and the candlestick pattern, we can see that DXY from this level has made significant bullish move. Now this month, once the market opened, initially we have seen a drop with a long wick at the bottom on DXY. And with this long wick at the bottom, what we can see that DXY may try to retest the monthly resistance. And what I think that as still we have the majority of the days of the month is remaining, we might see that DXY is respecting this monthly resistance. But we could see a retest and then continuation, and it might be even ranging for the whole month in between this support and resistance. We have a potential reference for DXY movement in this next couple of days of the month. So dropping down to the weekly to see what kind of price action it is making. Now this is the range that we are expecting to DXY to follow. Now if you look at this support is the previous weekly low. There was a huge volatility in the previous week, followed by this week we saw a bit of lower volatility. So what I think that in the beginning of the week we might see still a bit of slower movement, followed by with the PPI we might see the downside here, as this market has got a very strong rejection here without grabbing enough liquidity from the support. I think that DXY is less likely to go up to create a new higher high. So dropping down to the daily to see what kind of price action is forming. Now we can see that last day of trading week, a very narrow candle with a long bearish engulfer here, and as we saw, there was a downtrending impulse followed by a pullback and followed by very weak response from the seller. So that's the sign that we might not see even a lower low, but instead we could see a retest of this support. Now in that zone, if we look at the daily support, this is the zone where there is a high imbalance on DXY, and I think that initially we might see a drop to this level, and from that zone expecting DXY to bounce back up to this resistance level. And another important thing that we need to look at, if you look at this support here and in this daily time frame, what we saw, the DXY made a strong uptrending market structure. There is an impulse correction. So this is a typical uptrending market, and finally we saw that when the price was consolidating in that area, it's grabbing liquidity from this resistance level. In that zone we saw multiple manipulation. So when we see this kind of a structure, chances that the price will drop back, even we could see break of this support to this level to grab liquidity from this support and then going back to the upside. So DXY, we might see that in that perspective to break below or even break this support, and from that support to go back up. This could be this week's and upcoming week's movement on DXY, and I think that we might see initial downside, and from that support we could see a breakout, and in the next 20 days, that means that in another next 2 weeks of this trading, we might see that DXY might trade in this wave. So with that respect, if we're dropping down to the lower time frame, we will look to see how the market is reacting. So if we see that DXY is breaking below, that could be an opportunity for the sellers to look for potential selling in that zone. And once we see DXY has tested this support, we might find buying opportunity. So with that being said, let's look at now on GBPUSD and Euro Dollar how DXY might be mirroring in those instruments. Let's look at GBPUSD. Now looking at GBPUSD from the monthly perspective, what we can see that from monthly GBPUSD, after previous monthly long week candle with a long week with a healthy body, this week we can see that the market has formed a long week, another monthly candle, and the price is approaching this monthly support zone here with a long week candle at the bottom as well. So what I think that in the upcoming week we might see that GBPUSD coming to the support and then bouncing back towards the upside. As we see, GBPUSD has formed a long wick at the top. If the market come back below the monthly support or below the monthly low, we might see that GBPUSD again having another bounce. If we look at the weekly chart, we can see that there is a weekly candle that has broken this weekly low, and with this break of this weekly low form a long wick candle. So this long wick candle is also a representation of primary rejection from this support level. Now at the same time, we see that this is the monthly high on GBPUSD, and the price might range in that zone, but initially we might see a retest and then bounce back towards the upside to the on GBPUSD. Now if we look at the daily chart on GBPUSD, what we can see that from the daily, this is the daily bullish candle followed by a very narrow doji on the daily time frame. What we could see on GBPUSD from the daily, as last day of trading week we saw very narrow volatility, and this support is absolutely important now, as if the market breaks below the daily low, might have another reaction from this support level. to create a new higher high. So looking at a bit of lower time frame on GBPUSD, what we can see that in this lower time frame, this is the impulse on GBPUSD and quite a few sessions of consolidation that might lead this price to come back below. And this liquidity zone is important because what we saw that there is an impulse, consolidation and correction. So this is also an order block, and that zone, if the price retest, will give us potential bullish opportunity. So if we are looking at the intraday time frame, we might see trading opportunity in this area on GBPUSD, and that's the zone that I would like to see that the price giving us potential entry. As it is currently showing a bullish pattern, we will be looking to see bullish opportunity on the higher time frame. But if we are trading on the lower time frame during the live session that you have seen, that we might find selling opportunity on GBPUSD in that area. You can see this is the 5 minutes liquidity candle formation in that area that might give in the market opening short-term selling, and this support broken, if the price breaks below the support, might give us that buying opportunity on GBPUSD. Looking at euro dollar, again looking at the highest time frame on the monthly chart, we can see that from the monthly euro dollar so far in the first couple of days we have seen that of the month significant bullish momentum. And if we look at euro dollar, this is the monthly support. So far we might see that any drop might give bullish opportunity on euro dollar. We have seen that back to back 4 months euro dollar has broken below this support level, expecting euro dollar to bounce back up to create a new higher high. If we look at the weekly chart on euro dollar, we can see that from the weekly, this is the weekly impulse. From this level there is a big drop here on the weekly, followed by we can see that there is a correction on the weekly time frame. Now if we compare those price action, the price on almost on the resistance level, but at the same time we see that it's forming narrow doji. This is the last week, there wasn't much volatility, and what I think that if euro dollar breaking this weekly low, we might see another attempt from the buyers to grab liquidity from this resistance. If we look at the monthly chart, we can see that this is the monthly high, and any break below might give us even potential bullish opportunity on euro dollar as this market is bouncing back towards the upside. Now if we look at the daily chart on euro dollar, we can see that from the daily time frame, this is the daily last day of trading week, there was a very narrow candle formation on euro dollar, and there is a bullish impulse followed by a very narrow correction. But I think that on euro dollar the price might break below this support, even break below, and then we could see a continuation to the upside on euro USD. So if we look at the lower time frame price action from intraday, we can see that there is a long week doji here on euro dollar and also quite a few long week candles. This zone is where there is high liquidity area. As we can see, the market is forming long week candles on the intraday. The price might initially drop further and breaking below this support. As you can see from that zone also, there was a 4-hour huge bullish candle. This candle has formed during the NFP. Now you can see that it's a liquidity candle. The market has broken out from this level, and later we saw that the price in fact penetrated that level couple of pips and then again another bounce. So this support is in fact a very important level for the buyers. So what I think that on euro dollar, as we see that in this zone the market grabbing liquidity from the resistance, we might see that euro dollar is coming back below this support, and with that break below this support we might see that euro dollar again moving back to the upside to create a new higher high. So these are the zones. Now if we look at the lower time frame from day trading perspective, from 5 minutes, we saw that in that zone, there is multiple liquidity grab, there is a multiple liquidity candle formation. I think that with the market open, we might see a downside momentum here on euro dollar. So from day trading, initially we could see that potential selling opportunity on euro dollar, and the price might ultimately drop back to this order block, or even it could break below, and at the middle of the week or at the end of the week we might see again euro dollar is moving back to the upside, and these are the zones that we can look for potential trading opportunity. Now let's look at dollar CAD to see. Now looking at the dollar CAD from the monthly chart, what we can see that from the monthly on dollar CAD, this is the monthly price action on dollar CAD, and what we saw that after the previous monthly bullish candle, this month's dollar CAD has reached that monthly resistance, and we have seen an immediate rejection from this level. Now with this rejection, the candle has formed with a long wick at the bottom. I think that any pullback to the upside, the price might try to retest again to this monthly support on dollar CAD. Now if we look at the weekly chart to see, what we saw that with the news there was a spike. Now you have seen the traders a massive trade in that area on dollar CAD, and what we can see the previous week there was a doji formation on the weekly, followed by another doji with long wick candle on dollar CAD. Now what we can see that in that area the market is forming series of lower high on dollar CAD, and if we look at the daily chart on dollar CAD, we can see from the daily, this is the movement on the daily on dollar CAD with a very strong impulse breakout from this structure, and the price is basically in that zone grabbing liquidity and then dropping down in this direction on dollar CAD with a support formation in this zone on dollar CAD on the daily. Now what we could see at this week, if the price is breaking any of this resistance line, that can give us a potential entry opportunity on dollar CAD. Now if we look at the intraday time frame, what we can see from the intraday, it's already formed an inverted head and shoulder. So what I'm expecting on dollar CAD to first break below to this support, and breaking any of this low might give a dollar CAD a probability for another bounce to the upside, as this market here it is forming series of lower high and also series of higher low. So there is if the price breaks below any of this level, can give another bullish entry opportunity on dollar CAD. So that could be the wave on dollar CAD. Initially we might see that drop, and then we might see a rejection from this level. On the other hand, if we see that dollar CAD didn't drop, which could happen if the market reverses to the upside, this resistance can be an important zone where we could see the dollar CAD again breaking below this support level. Now looking at AUDUSD, now like the GBPUSD and euro dollar, we see that AUDUSD also in a very strong trend. If we look at the monthly chart on AUDUSD, what we can see that from the monthly there is an impulse on the monthly, followed by what we can see in that candle, in that movement on AUDUSD there is a drop, and what we have seen this week AUDUSD, there is in first week we have seen a strong bullish momentum, and this is the monthly candle on AUDUSD. I will be waiting on AUDUSD for the price to drop to the support and then to bounce back up again. Now looking at the weekly chart on AUDUSD, we can see that from the weekly, this is the weekly support level on AUDUSD, and what we can see that this after this back-to-back 2 weeks of bullish move, this is a narrow doji formation. From the weekly past week there wasn't much volatility on AUDUSD, but this doji might be an important support that we can look at, because if the market breaks below, then it's getting in a zone where we might see that a rejection, because there is a buyers here, and this is a very important support level. So dropping down to the daily chart, what we can see on AUDUSD, there is a narrower candle, and I think that because its trend is up still, we will be waiting to see AUDUSD has broken below to any of the support that can give us another bullish entry opportunity. So looking at the intraday time frame on AUDUSD, we can see that there is a long wick doji, a strong manipulation candle, and from that manipulation candle, what we will be waiting on AUDUSD for the price to break below and then to bounce back up to create a new higher high. So this is a support level that we will be waiting on AUDUSD, and with this support level, what we can expect on AUDUSD for the price to break below and then to bounce back up to create a new higher high. So any support break, any liquidity grab can give us entry on the higher time frame. Now if we look at the day trading perspective on AUDUSD, we can see that in the day trading perspective, this is a liquidity zone here, and with this liquidity zone from the lower time frame, anytime, and now you can see on the lower time frame the market is grabbing liquidity multiple times. Anytime the price grabbing liquidity, we will be looking for selling opportunity on AUDUSD. So this is the lower time frame possibility on AUDUSD. The higher time frame price action, we will be looking for a bullish opportunity in that zone. Let's look at gold to see how the market is doing. Now looking at gold from the first of all, let's look at the higher time frame. Now past week we have seen that we had quite a few incredible trade on gold, and this week also we are expecting to move in that direction. So looking at gold, what we can see, previous months there is a long wick candle in that zone, and as a result this month we have seen that the first 2 weeks there was a significant bullish momentum, and the way the market is heading, it's a long-term bull market, and we could see bullish continuation from the higher time frame. What is going up is likely to go up. That's the law of trading. Now if we look at the weekly chart, what we can see, this is the weekly candle. Now as expected, from this support we have seen an expected bounce on weekly time frame. Now if we analyze the market structure on the weekly on gold, we can see that there is a weekly impulse here followed by narrow correction, and there is another impulse followed by deeper correction, and with this back-to-back 2 weekly impulse and pullback, what we could see now as the market started to bounce, any drop below this weekly support level, I'll be waiting to find bullish entry. As we see, there is a weekly candle here, which is basically a very important high liquidity zone, and any drop and then bounce, we will be looking for entry on gold. Now if we look at the daily chart on gold, we can see that from the daily there was a multiple liquidity grab here. This is a huge liquidity trigger with a long wick doji followed by series of higher low, and last day of trading week we saw there is a long wick candle with a healthy body, and this is a weekly daily support that what I think that if the market come back down to retest this support, and there is a neckline of this reversal pattern here, and this is a high, this is the FVG, which is a fair value gap, which is a very important high area of value. So any break below on gold, we will be looking for a potential entry opportunity. Now looking at the intraday time frame, what we can see, this is a sudden impulse on gold in the last at the end of the week. After this consolidation with this impulse, basically gold has managed to bounce. Now later at the end of the week, we saw that from that zone the market has started to drop back with a stronger pullback. So because the market is now breaking below, highly likely we could see a retest of this support here on the lower time frame. So looking at 15-minute chart and also the 30 minutes, if you look at the 30 minutes, there is a red candle and it grabbed 2 dojis high. So this drop on 30 minutes is signaling potential downside here, and we can spot a head and shoulder in that zone. This is the left shoulder, right shoulder, and the head. And with this head and shoulder formation, we can expect on gold to come back down to test this support, or even breaking below this support. That could be a very important movement in the beginning of the week. As we see, there is a liquidity grab reversal pattern formation on gold, expecting it to drop down and then to retest and then to return back to the upside. So in the beginning of the week, I will be focusing on selling opportunity from the day trading. And if we see that the market especially broken this daily support, we can look for bullish opportunity for this potential movement to the upside. Let's look at gold to see how the market is doing. Now, looking at gold from the first of all, let's look at the higher time frame. Now, past week we have seen that we had quite a few incredible trade on gold, and this week also we are expecting to move in that direction. So looking at gold, what we can see, previous months there is a long week candle in that zone, and as a result this month we have seen that in the first 2 weeks there was a significant bullish momentum, and the way the market is heading, it's a long-term bull market, and we could see bullish continuation from the higher time frame. What is going up is likely to go up. That's the law of trading. Now if we look at the weekly chart, what we can see, this is the weekly candle. Now as expected, from this support we have seen an expected bounce on weekly time frame. Now if we analyze the market structure on the weekly on gold, we can see that there is a weekly impulse here followed by narrow correction, and there is another impulse followed by deeper correction. And with this back-to-back 2 weekly impulse and pullback, what we could see now, as the market started to bounce, any drop below this weekly support level, I will be waiting to find bullish entry. As we see, there is a weekly candle here, which is basically a very important high liquidity zone, and any drop and then bounce, we will be looking for entry on gold. Now if we look at the daily chart on gold, we can see that from the daily there was a multiple liquidity grab here. This is a huge liquidity trigger with a long wick doji followed by series of higher low, and last day of trading week we saw there is a long wick candle with a healthy body, and this is a weekly daily support. That what I think that if the market come back down to retest this support, and there is a neckline of this reversal pattern here, and this is a high, this is the FVG, which is a fair value gap, which is a very important high area of value. So any break below on gold, we will be looking for a potential entry opportunity. Now looking at the intraday time frame, what we can see, this is a sudden impulse on gold in the last at the end of the week. After this consolidation with this impulse, basically gold has managed to bounce. Now later at the end of the week, we saw that from that zone the market has started to drop back with a stronger pullback. So because the market is now breaking below, highly likely we could see a retest of this support here on the lower time frame. So looking at 15-minute chart and also the 30 minutes, if you look at the 30 minutes, there is a red candle and it grabbed 2 dojis high. So this drop on 30 minutes is signaling potential downside here, and we can spot a head and shoulder in that zone. This is the left shoulder, right shoulder, and the head. And with this head and shoulder formation, we can expect on gold to come back down to test this support, or even breaking below this support. That could be a very important movement in the beginning of the week. As we see, there is a liquidity grab reversal pattern formation on gold, expecting it to drop down and then to retest and then to return back to the upside. So in the beginning of the week, I will be focusing on selling opportunity from the day trading. And if we see that the market especially broken this daily support, we can look for bullish opportunity for this potential movement to the upside. So in the meantime, traders, if you want to access all the strategies that I am trading and also I am teaching in the VIP mentorship program, and also you can access all my trade including entry, stop loss and take profit target, you can visit the website. You can find link below this video in the description area. Once you visit the website, click join now button, then you will be able to join and access all the trading tools that I am trading, all the strategies, indicators, and also all the trades with entry, stop loss and take profit target, including VIP access to the VIP chat room as well. So with that said, let's look at now on JPY pairs how they are doing. Now looking at GBPJPY, starting with the monthly chart, what we can see from the monthly on GBPJPY, this is the monthly impulse on GJ with this movement followed by a correction so far on GBPJPY. Now if I look at this monthly candlestick pattern, what we can see that there was a drop and then immediate rejection. Now this is the monthly resistance so far. This month the market opened here. As this market has got a rejection, what we could see on GJ, the price to go ahead, hit that monthly resistance and then dropping back down to the support level. If we look at the weekly chart on GBPJPY, we can see that this is the weekly candle and there is a pattern that we can look at. There was a very strong bullish impulse followed by, after breaking the high, again strong bearish return followed by another bullish impulse. Now this bullish candle on the weekly on GJ, there are two possible scenarios. One, we might see that the market open with a gap down and then going up, testing this, coming back down. The other possible scenario is gap opening to the upside, testing this and then coming back down. So ultimately we could see a monthly retest on GBPJPY. Now looking at the daily chart, we can see that this is the daily. So far all the whole week we saw a very strong trend on GBPJPY, and with the trend we can see this is a neckline of this double top formation. We have seen a breakdown, and what I think that now the price will try to retest this neckline or even penetrating to the upside to the monthly resistance, and then we could see reverting back to this support level. So looking at the intraday time frame on GBPJPY, we can see that this is an uptrending market consolidation. The price is forming series of higher high and higher low, which is an uptrending market. And last session we have seen a drop, and that drop, what I think that on GJ coming back down to any of these liquidities on this trend, this market structure on GJ is highly bullish. Now there are a couple of scenarios may happen, because if you look at this zone here, this is an order block, and with this long week rejection, the market in fact left an imbalance in that area. So this imbalance, either we could see a break from this and then going back to test this neckline here. This is a smart money zone. The other scenario is without breaking the structure, going back up and then coming back to this order block again. So depending on how the price is doing, if we see that in the beginning of the trading without retesting this neckline, breaking below, then we might see a break of a structure, and we will be looking for bullish opportunity on the lower time frame. If we look at the 5 minutes, we can see that GBPJPY currently showing a downtrending market structure on the lower time frame, and I will be looking for potential selling opportunity as soon as we will find suitable entry on GBPJPY for this potential drop to this support level. And if we see that the market is rejecting any of this support, yeah, we can look for short-term buying to this level, to this resistance zone, based on how the price will be doing. We will be acting on that. Now let's look at dollar yen. Looking at the dollar yen on the monthly chart, what we can see that from the monthly on dollar yen, this is the monthly perspective on dollar yen, and what we can see that this is an impulse on the dollar yen, and this is the monthly candle that has a long wick at the bottom with a healthy body, and this is the resistance line on dollar yen. What we will be waiting on dollar yen for the price to come back down for a pullback and then to retest again. Like the GJ, what I think the dollar yen might retest this resistance and then could reject, or we could see initial drop and then going back up again. If we look at the weekly chart on dollar yen, we can see that from the weekly, this is the weekly bullish price action on dollar yen with this impulse followed by a correction, another impulse correction. So this is a typical uptrending market structure on dollar yen, and this is the weekly candle where we saw that there is a healthy body. And as like the GJ, what I think the dollar yen, if it gap down, it open with a gap down, we might see again a bounce to the resistance level. Now looking at the daily chart on dollar yen, this is the daily impulse followed by a narrow correction with another healthy candle. We'll be waiting on dollar yen to retest any of this daily support or break below, can give another bullish entry opportunity. Now like the JJ, also dollar yen has a liquidity zone. This is a very important resistance level. If the market drop down without retesting this, then later we might see again rejection towards the upside on dollar yen. Now looking at the lower time frame on dollar yen, we can see that this is a bullish price action on dollar yen, and with this bullish price action, what we can expect for this price to break below and then to return back to the upside, and that could be the wave on dollar yen. Especially at the moment, what we can see from this zone, dollar yen is rejecting from this resistance line. If we look at the 15-minute chart on dollar yen, we can see that from the 15 minutes perspective, this is a long wick doji here on dollar yen, and as the market is getting a rejection from this zone, I will be waiting for short-term selling opportunity. If we find with the market open dollar yen is getting a rejection, and then we will look for buying opportunity in this instrument. As soon as we will find suitable entry, we will be looking for going long or short on dollar yen. So now let's look at WTI. Let's see what kind of opportunity we have. Looking at the monthly chart on WTI, what we can see that from the monthly on WTI, there was a huge drop on WTI followed by a big move, followed by last month we have seen a pin bar. Now this month on WTI, this is a very important level here on WTI, and any pullback to the upside, what I think that WTI may continue to drop in that direction. Now if we look at the weekly chart, what we can see from the weekly, a big drop followed by a doji, and with the doji it formed a resistance line here on WTI, and there is a long wick candle here, expecting WTI to retest and then to drop down again to create a new lower low. Now if we look at the daily chart on WTI, we can see that there is a daily bearish engulfer, and the trend on the daily is a bearish. If we look at the trend, there is a big drop, correction, tested this previous support, turning resistance, and we have seen another drop, and we have seen that pullback last day of trading week, a bearish engulfer, but still we have seen an imbalance in that zone. So we might see on dollar yen, if we look on WTI, a retest of this neckline. If we look at on WTI, we can see that in this downtrend, there is a sudden impulse followed by a correction, another impulse, form a double top here, and with this double top formation, what we can see on WTI, this is the support level which is turning resistance here, and from that zone we can expect on WTI to return back to the downside, and this is the level that we will be looking for potential entry if we see the price has retested that zone. So with that in mind, traders, I believe that you enjoyed this weekly forex forecast. If you enjoyed, make sure that you give a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't done yet. Press that bell notification so that you are not missing any of the content that I'm posting every day. In addition to that, if you want to trade with us all of this in Forex Trading Wizard Academy and also be part of this trading community, don't hesitate to join us. Link below this video in the description area. Thank you and I'll see you soon. Until that, stay well, stay happy.